In 1942, Hitler's forces pushed deep into the Soviet Union, aiming for the oil fields of the Caucasus. To secure their flank, the German Sixth Army, led by General Paulus, attacked Stalingrad, a city of immense symbolic value. The battle devolved into brutal street fighting, with both sides suffering staggering losses. The Germans seemed on the verge of victory, but Soviet defenders, under General Chuikov, clung to the Volga's banks. Unbeknownst to the Germans, the Soviets were amassing reserves for a massive counteroffensive. On November 19th, the Soviets launched Operation Uranus. Two powerful pincers smashed through the weakly held flanks, encircling nearly 300,000 Axis troops. The German Sixth Army was trapped, cut off, low on supplies, and surrounded. General Paulus requested permission to break out, but Hitler refused, insisting the Luftwaffe could supply the pocket by air, a disastrous miscalculation. The Sixth Army was ordered to hold its ground, forming a defensive cauldron and waiting for rescue. The trap at Stalingrad had snapped shut, setting the stage for one of history's most desperate battles. The fate of the German army now hung in the balance. As winter gripped Stalingrad, the trapped German soldiers faced unimaginable hardship. Ill-equipped for the cold, they suffered frostbite and starvation. The Luftwaffe's promised airlift failed, delivering only a fraction of the needed supplies. Rations dwindled to sawdust bread and watery soup. Horses were slaughtered for food, ammunition and fuel ran out. Medical care collapsed, wounds festered, disease spread, and thousands died daily. Despite the misery, hope lingered. Radio messages promised a relief force was coming. The name whispered in frozen bunkers was Manstein, the general tasked with breaking the encirclement. Every day the men scanned the horizon for German tanks, clinging to the belief that rescue was near. But as the weeks dragged on, despair deepened. The Sixth Army's only hope was a miracle on the steppe. Time was running out. At German high command, the grim reality set in. Only a rescue could save the Sixth Army. Field Marshal Manstein was given command of Army Group Dawn and ordered to break the encirclement. His plan, Operation Winter Storm, relied on a depleted but determined force, spearheaded by the 6th Panzer Division. The goal: strike northeast from Kotelnikovo, cross frozen rivers, and reach the pocket's southern edge. Manstein gambled on speed, surprise, and the skill of his panzer crews. Once close enough, the trapped Sixth Army was to break out and link up, a desperate, risky maneuver. Everything depended on perfect timing and coordination. If either force failed, the rescue would collapse. The stakes could not have been higher. The Soviets, aware of German movements, braced for a relief attempt. Stalin and his generals reinforced the encirclement, assigning the 51st Army and the powerful 2nd Guards Army to block Manstein's advance. The Soviets also tightened the noose inside Stalingrad, launching constant attacks to weaken the trapped Germans. Artillery and snipers kept relentless pressure on the pocket. The 2nd Guards Army, held in reserve, was ready to counter any German breakthrough. The Soviets risked delaying their final assault on the pocket to stop Manstein. The stage was set for a decisive clash on the frozen steppe. On December 12th, Operation Winter Storm began. German panzers surged forward, catching the Soviet 51st Army off guard and advancing rapidly despite snow and bitter cold. The advance was grueling. Deep snow, frozen rivers, and fierce Soviet resistance slowed progress. Engineers built bridges under fire. Tank crews fought for every kilometer. The 6th Panzer Division led the charge, breaking through multiple Soviet lines. By December 19th, the Germans reached the Mishkova River, just 48 kilometers from the pocket. Inside Stalingrad, hope flared as the distant rumble of battle grew louder. The trapped soldiers prepared for a breakout, believing salvation was near. but fuel and ammunition were running low, and Soviet reinforcements were closing in. The fate of the Sixth Army hung by a thread. With the Mishkova River in sight, Manstein urged Paulus to launch the breakout, Operation Thunderclap. But Paulus hesitated, bound by Hitler's orders to hold Stalingrad and crippled by lack of fuel and strength. As he delayed, the Soviets struck back. The Second Guards Army launched a massive counterattack, slamming into the exposed German flank. The 6th Panzer Division, so close to victory, was forced onto the defensive. The window for rescue slammed shut. The Germans, exhausted and outnumbered, could go no further. The chance to save the Sixth Army vanished in the snow. Stalingrad's fate was sealed. On December 23rd, Manstein ordered a retreat. Operation Winter Storm had failed. The trapped Sixth Army's last hope was gone. In January, the Soviets launched Operation Ring, crushing the pocket with overwhelming force. Starving, freezing, and out of options, Paulus surrendered on January 31, 1943. Of nearly 300,000 trapped, only 91,000 survived to be taken prisoner. Most would never return home. The defeat shattered the myth of German invincibility and marked a turning point in the war. For the Soviets, Stalingrad was a monumental victory, proof the Red Army could defeat the Nazis. The strategic initiative shifted to the Allies. The long, bloody road to Berlin had begun. Stalingrad changed the course of history.